You're in the grocery store or maybe even Target, and your kid sees something they really want, a sugary cereal that happens to be at eye level. I wonder why. Or a toy that they've been wanting because they saw it on an ad on some game that they were playing on their iPad, and you tell them no, then a huge meltdown erupts and you don't know what to do. And maybe that same kid is always hitting their sibling, getting in trouble at school, or it just seems like no matter what you do, their behavior keeps getting harder. That's what we're going to talk about today is 5 strategies that are going to work for your child's brain instead of against it. This is not another discipline strategy. I mean, it is discipline because discipline means to teach, but consequences, punishment charts, sticker charts. Are there punishment charts? Charts, sticker charts. This is all about very simple things that you can do by simply understanding what is going on beneath the surface for your child. When my oldest was 3 months old, I joined Stroller Strides. I think it's called Fit for Mom now. It was a lifesaver. I remember walking at this park with all these other moms. They had kids anywhere from the age of 3 to 4, maybe 3, because the kid is in the stroller and then we work out while the kid's in the stroller. If you have a child that's a little older than that, it gets a little harder because they don't want to stay in the stroller. My son was one of the youngest, and as he started to enter toddler world, toddlerhood, whatever you want to get, toddler land, I like to call things land, he was exhibiting some behaviors that I did not know what to do with. I remember one of the moms said, "Oh my gosh, you have to try this thing that I've been learning in this book. It's called 1, 2, 3 Magic." Then someone had another recommendation. I can't, Love and Logic, maybe. And then there was another recommendation. I'm reading all these things. And what I noticed now that I look back is that it was all about the surface behavior and getting my kid to comply and to obey. It would have been way easier in my parenting journey if I would have found out from those early years that all behavior is communication. It comes from something. We had behavior charts, sticker charts. We had these little jars with cotton balls in them. I had got an idea from my sister-in-law to have these clips, and it was, if you're doing well you get clipped up, if you're not doing well you get clipped down, and green was at the top and red was at the bottom. I don't know, we had every kind of behavior system that you could think of, and it did not help. And this is because I have a child, well, almost all of my kids, who have highly sensitive nervous systems. When they are behaving, when they're melting down at the grocery store or at Target, you tell them no and they lose their ever loving minds. It's usually because they don't have the skill to emotionally regulate. Throw a sticker on there, give them a treat or something from a treasure box that doesn't teach them the skill. They're still lagging the ability to be able to regulate. What they need in those moments more than anything ever is to borrow our calm and for us to understand what behavior is. As I work with parents in my purpose parent transformation program, what keeps coming up is, I'm doing all these things and I don't know if it's working. I'm putting working in quotes because really what we mean by is this working is we're looking for compliance and obedience. However, that's not how brain development, nervous system development, emotional development works. We've been duped, y'all. I don't even usually say y'all. We have been told that to be a good parent, it depends on our kids having good behavior. So then we try to do all these things and then we look for evidence that it's working, which means that they're complying. Now, I can look at my kids now that they're older, They have gotten a lot of their needs met. We have built a ton of skills from when they were 3 to now 16, 14, and 9. And so now I can look and go, wow, off from all of those years, putting in the reps of connection before correction, understanding their behavior, I can now look at that and say, okay, it has worked. But in the micro moments, there was still a lot of yelling, screaming, cussing, sometimes flailing, pushing, shoving, all of the really, really hard behaviors. But over time, as I've been able to give my kids what they need, they are able to behave in ways that are more socially acceptable for the most part. Here are 5 strategies for you that you can use in order to help your kids if they have really hard, challenging behaviors. Usually, whenever we say that kids have challenging behaviors, we're usually meaning one, they struggle with emotions. Their emotions are loud and uncontrollable, and it can feel very uncomfortable to us. Or two, they're resistant. They don't want to do what we tell them to do. They tell us no. Then we make that mean that they are disrespectful. Really, what's happening is they're saying no because they don't have better words. They don't have the skills to be able to do what you want them to do. Or maybe there's a missing need such as connection for or being able to help them or whatever it may be for them to be able to do the thing. The first strategy is identify the need, which is what I've just been talking about. We need to look at beneath the surface. They're screaming, yelling, resistance, not cleaning up after themselves, not being able to follow instructions. That's the top layer. That's the top of our iceberg. We want to go under the water. Oh, it's cold. Go under the water and look at what that need is. Are they tired, hungry, overstimulated, struggling with transitions? Is it how their brain is wired and they have asynchronous development? In certain areas, they are very advanced. In certain areas, they are much more delayed. Do they have auditory processing challenges? My youngest, we now know that he has slow processing. I say something, I have to wait a good 30, 45 seconds before I know it's going to hit. So we want to look at what that underlying need is. And then here's a question I want to ask is what's the pattern in your house whenever you see some of these behaviors? Say it is every single time you go to the grocery store. Could the underlying need be the fluorescent lights are just too much? All of the colors, the people, the smells. There could be something connected to sensory. I did a whole series on sensory that I will include in the show notes. So we want to look at what the need is and we'll look at the patterns of when they tend to melt down. I'm coaching a mom right now, and every time she's left me a message, she has said, and I was hungry. And I was hungry. I'm like, do you see now why in those moments you don't care about all these tools or connecting with your kid because your body is like, I need food. And then she's able to now be proactive as much as she can, raising small children to be able to fill those needs. Strategy number 2 is provide proactive support. This means if you already know that there are certain times that your kid melts down, can you be proactive? A lot of kids struggle with transitions. A lot of kids struggle with not having a routine or knowing what comes next. So, can you build something in? I have a routine chart I will put in the show notes. I've been using that bad boy forever. It's a half sheet. We laminate it. I just hand it over and they can just follow the steps. It's very, very simple. It's for mornings, and I think there's an evening routine as well. Also, how can you resource yourself in the in between? If you have really small children, This might mean you're just taking deep breaths while you're rocking a baby, or you are doing squats as you're folding laundry because you're getting blood flow into your legs up to your brain. But how are you resourcing yourself and your body in the in between so that you can handle and co regulate, which means you stay calm, or not even calm, because regulated is not calm. You aren't flying off the handle and losing your mind. You're able to still have conscious awareness of what's going on in the moments. And that requires for you to resource yourself. Okay, strategy number 3 is to help your kids express their feelings. I have a whole YouTube video on 5 steps to be your child's emotion coach. And this is the process in which you help your kids identify their emotions whenever they're losing, or if they do something that's not okay. We don't have to tell them this is not okay. Chances are they already know. What they need in that moment is for you to validate the emotion underneath the behavior. When you do that, you're either going to get rest, like they'll receive it well, and they will, yes, I do feel frustrated. I do feel angry. I do feel disappointed. Or they are going to reject it. And hopefully, what they do is correct you. We want that so that they are building their social, emotional language toolbox and have words to be able to express how they feel. You also want to give kids a channel besides the blow up. So, a lot of times, as parents will say, use your words. The problem with that, they don't have the words or they wouldn't be losing their mind. So just saying using their words isn't helpful. You can name it for them. I see you're extremely frustrated right now. Get it as detailed as possible. Pull up a feelings wheel. You can type it into Google, you can type it into AI and use something on there. My favorite app is How We Feel by Mark Brackett. And you go on there and it has all sorts of feeling words. And if your kid doesn't have challenges with screen addiction like mine, we can't use the phone for stuff like this, but they can go and look at the different emotion words. That could be a great tool for you to use. Or I have a emotion wheel printed out, I think in multiple places in my house. Strategy number 4 is to pause before you react. If your brain is used to reacting, yelling, screaming, well, my kids won't listen until I yell, or the meltdown won't stop until I yell. I mean, if that works for you, that's awesome. With me, if I yell during a meltdown, it just makes everything louder and so much worse. Now, there is some nuance to this where kids' nervous systems sometimes do need us to match the energy, but that is different than just flying off the handle ourselves and not doing it from a regulated state. So we can build in that pause. I have a whole episode on this that it was one of the first episodes. I will include that in the show notes as well. Your child will mirror your nervous system state. So if you're regulated, if you're able to speak clearly, think clearly, make good choices yourself, they essentially can borrow that. If you have a child with big meltdowns, their nervous system is 1,000% dependent on yours. All kids' nervous systems are 100% dependent on their caregiver's nervous system in order to develop in a healthy way. And that's why most of us really struggle with these things, because we didn't get that. And then our parents didn't get that because their parents didn't get that, and so on and so on. We have the power to be able to make and break these generational patterns. Okay, strategy number 5 is teach the skill once they are calm. We identify the needs, but behaviors also, they don't have the skill. They don't have inhibition. They don't have impulse control. They don't have uh, the ability to act in a respectful way, because those are very advanced cognitive skills. They require a lot of development in that prefrontal cortex, the executive function centers, that they simply don't have. And that's where most behaviors come from. Their brain is under construction. somewhere along the line or lane or line, road, somewhere along the road, we have thought as adults that kids, especially once they can speak, are like little adults, but they're not. They don't have the skills. They're dependent on us to teach those skills. The number one way to teach those skills is through play. And I just did a bunch of episodes 19, 20, 21, or 20, 21, 22, on play that you can go visit on how you can teach skills through play. Timing matters when it comes to teaching kids skills when they're in it, when we're in it. That is not the time. It needs to be outside of that. 5 strategies are figure out what the need is, tired, hungry, sleep. Tired is also sleepy. I was getting ready to see sleepy. What sensory need? What's going on underneath the surface? Proactive, think ahead. If you already know that this is happening all the time, what can you do differently? Maybe it's a one little minor baby step of something that's a little bit different and see if that helps. Express their feelings, encourage your child to express their feelings. Pause, build in a pause before you react so you can actually turn your thinker brain on and not just react from your emotional centers of your brain. And then the fifth one is figure out ways to use play to teach the skill. We have to identify the skill first. What is the lagging skill here? And then how can we teach this? Okay, that is it. These 5 strategies are not about being perfect. There is no perfect. Brain development is messy. Brain maturation is messy. Being a human is messy. I wish we can just be regulated and calm all the time, but no one can do that. That would mean that you're not human. And then maybe we need to talk. And so this is about shifting your mindset about what behavior is. It's not about stopping it. It's not about finding the right tool to get it to stop happening. It's to be there for it, be fully present, allow your kids to work through it, because as they have that with you, a regulated adult, they're going to build all those connections in their brains that they need in order to behave well by the time they are much older than they are now, because brain maturation is done around age, 25 to 30. Okay, that is it. And so I just suggest picking one of these, try one little thing, and then leave a review and let me know how it goes.